Hello, my friends. This particular Eve video is going to be a little bit different. Uh, it was recorded on Zoom several weeks ago at a private Sunday morning meeting. Now, because of the way it was recorded on Zoom, I can't put the actual video up for privacy concerns because it was recorded in gallery view. So I've tried several ways to get just the audio on and have not run into any success with that since I'm not willing to pay $18.50 to have this one uh, audio on mine. So what I've done is I have transcribed it, and I'll put the transcribed pages into Eve type, but I'm going to read it to you today. Now, this is only the portion of the meeting where Eve is giving her talk. Nothing before or after is has been transcribed because it's either too private or not doesn't relate at all to the talk. So let me start. Today, she said she's going to keep it short because she knows the wise one will have many questions. That's for you, C. Okay, so let me get her and we will begin. She hasn't told me much about what she's going to say, so this will be a surprise for me as well. In the interest of privacy, we have noted the facilitator as the letter capital C and the three who asked questions as capital letter Q, capital Q2, and capital Q3. So now I'll start with Eve, and maybe she'll help me if she's hanging around to get the emphasis that she wanted. Yes, we begin by telling you that the reason we have said that the name might be pertinent for you, meaning the group, the name Convergence, is because this is what you are. Your group has come together, you see. Convergence is a coming together, and you have created something brand new. Now, this will be different each week. Each time you come together, you create something anew. So we suggest a name that does not put you in a pocket, that rather conveys the feeling of cooperation, sharing, coming together, but creating something new. This is, in our opinion, what is the most important about this group and about convergence in general. Now, we wonder if you understand how your world was created, and it was created through convergence, as is nearly everything that you do. We have talked before about cooperation, about how things are created in cooperation, and basically, that is what convergence is. Now, the cooperation is not always apparent, but it is always present. Let us take, for example, a relationship. So, say you meet someone and you form a relationship. Now, this relationship is in itself something new and different than the two of you separately. It has its own life. It will continue to progress and to make new convergences. When you look, for example, at your physical body, you see that you are made up of a great many things. You are not simply a hunk of flesh. You have bacteria, you have soul, you have brains, you have emotions. All of these things come together. They converge together to create your personality. And this is continually changing. When you meet this same person, let us say you meet monthly for dinner, when you first meet them, you create another entity. And when you meet the following month, you create yet again something that is new again, because in the interim, there have been changes. Things have occurred and have continued to grow. And so you are never stagnant. You are never in a stagnant place. You are always continuing to change, to create relationships, to create new things, and to add to all that is, and to add to your life. Now, we wish to talk a little bit about what is going on in the USA right now. And this, you see, is a culmination of many centuries of convergence, of different takes on what the people say that they want. And it reaches in many directions, and you choose which direction you wish to follow. Now, you see, at this point in time, there are several probabilities, and you will choose which probability you wish to add your attention to. But we say to you, do not forget that this has been created with the convergence over thousands of years of an innumerable number of coming togethers. It is not simply, many people think of convergence as two things, like where a river is, right? Maybe two tributaries come and they merge, flow, they merge, they converge into one river, which is something new that it has created. But you must go back, 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 because each tributary has its own history, you see. And this is true of you also. You have a history made up of thousands upon thousands of coming togethers and creating newness. And this continues through your lifetime, and it also continues after you pass. Now, for example, when this one reaches for us, she has to change her vibration, and we have to change our vibration. And they meet, they come together, you see, and this creates something new. This creates the Eve that is speaking to you. This Eve is not this one. This Eve is not a separate entity that floats around in the ether and, when called upon, comes and speaks to you. No, she is a new creation, and she is a new creation each and every time that she speaks to you. Now, or when she speaks to this one, because often she speaks to her alone while she is wandering around the house doing whatever. Now, one moment, we also wish to talk to you about how this convergence affects your daily life. What good is it, you say, to know this? I mean, these things occur and we have very little to do with it. It just happens on its own. But we say no. This is important for you to understand that the part you play in any convergence is available to you. In other words, let us take this meeting for example. When you come to this meeting, you have in mind something that you wish to gain, you see? And this will happen with others who have what they wish to gain. And you will converge, you will come together, and you will create something new. Now, this is something that you can think of as you go forward, so that you should be of a mind whenever you are creating something new, meeting someone new, exploring something new, be of a mind of what may come. In other words, project yourself a bit into the future. And you can do this through meditation. You can do it through journeying if you are in the shamic way. If you are more religious or Christian, you can do it through prayer. But your intent will be all important as to how this convergence moves forward. Now, we understand that there is a religious term, convergence, that has to do with Christianity and the Holy Trinity and all of that, and we tell you that you can discount that entirely. We wish you instead to look at convergence as a form of communication, a form of creation, for the world as you know it was created through convergence. It was not, and so he spoke the word and the word became material. It was not, oh, a Big Bang theory or anything like that. It came together through the meeting of many energies who converged together, who converged with an intent. and so the world became physical. Now, this is speaking in terms of time, and as you all know, there is no such thing as time, but duration becomes important for your understanding and growth. Now, we said that we would keep this short, and so we have, because we understand that there will be many questions. Your questions may be on any topic, or they may be on this topic. So we feel we will stop here and open ourselves to questions. So then this next part is the Q&A. Uh, and I will just say the initials of the speakers, like C, E for Eve, etc. C, okay, I have the first question. E, yes. C, I am going to do a lecture about God, and I understand that that was a convergence of friends who got together and said, oh, let's add this part, let's add this part, let's add this part. And so here we are. Are you able to speak on that? Eve, we do not hear a question. C, okay, do you all hear me? Anybody hear me? Q2, I think she heard you. I just don't think she heard you pose a question. Eve, that is correct. C, yeah, the question is, did many entities come together, creator and friends, to start this universe where we are right now? Eve, I see. We would say both yes and no, in that all that is was itself, always, without beginning, without end, you see. But what all that is did was project itself outward so that it could come to know itself. And in that way, you see many thoughts, emotions, and energies. We would say energies as opposed to friends. Many energies came together and created the world that you know, as well as other worlds. You see? See, understood. Eve, another question. Q2. This is to Eve. You mentioned that every day Yvonne talks, when Eve talks to Yvonne, it's a different Eve. Eve, yes. Q2. Is that because that each day you are a different person also from the day before? Eve, yes. You see, as you go through life, you have many changes that happen to you physically, emotionally, intellectually, energetically. You are not the same person truly from one moment to the next, but certainly from one day to the next, from one week to the next. When you think back about your childhood, say, and you reflect upon what you thought and believed and how you acted at that time, and then you reflect upon the way you are now, well, then it's easy to see the vast changes, the large changes in yourself. But it is not always so easy to see that when you are thinking in terms of an hour, a year, a month, a day. And yet these changes are occurring and they affect all the relationships that you have, all the thoughts that you have, all the actions that you take. And so when you converge, when this one comes up to meet me, it is not the same one. And so, since it is not the same one, there will be changes. Now, these changes may be imperceptible to some of you. Nonetheless, they occur. And the same is true of us. We continue to grow and to change, and so we are not the same. Now, this has ramifications, we would say, to those of you who are mediums, who contact those who have passed on. Because once someone passes on, they are not the same. You are not communicating with the same exact personality that you knew when they were in the physical. You may only be contacting a small portion of them, but even if you are contacting a large portion of them, there are energetic changes, you see, and you must do what this one does when she contacts us, and which we have discussed before about the coming together of 2 points of reality. You must change your vibration, and they must change their vibration to meet you. And the same is true when you speak to those who have passed over. That if you speak to them today and then you speak to them again next week or next year, it will be different. It will not be the same energetic connection. You see? Q2, I understood that. Yeah. Eve, good. Uh, Q3. So I have a question. So when you were talking about convergence with the humans that are in our group and then the other entities, is that like for the purpose of co-creation and working together, to create new realities or healings? Eve, yes, absolutely. Because you have created not only this group as something new, a new entity, a new personality, a new energy, but in addition, as we have spoken of before, each of you are creators. Your thoughts go forward and create new worlds. Not just, they do not create simply a new thought that goes out and other people hear this thought and then it comes back to you, but you literally are creating new worlds constantly. We continue to stress that the vastness of what you are, of who you are, of who all that is, is nearly impossible to get across to you. We would say, perhaps, when you go into a fun house and you see the hall of mirrors, right? And there is you and another you and another you, and it continues infinitely. This happens also with your thoughts and your actions. Each person in the mirror, so to speak, as an analogy, that you see is like a whole new world. And everything that you think and do creates this. And this is what is meant, as I believe we have mentioned before, that you are made in the image of God. You are a creator, and what you do creates new worlds. Does this answer your question? Q3, yes. I have an additional question to that. So then, of course, does that mean that who we are co creating with then always changes from like group to group or even in between our meetings? Eve, yes, absolutely. Now, does this mean, for example, let us say you meet with John Doe, yes? This does not necessarily mean that the next time you meet with John Doe, it will be vastly different. That you will say, "Oh, I do not recognize this John Doe at all. Who is this?" The changes may be practically imperceptible to you. But if you are very concentrated, aware, if you open yourself, you will see these changes. You will be able to become aware of them, and so you will be able to react accordingly. Let us say, for example, perhaps one day you meet with John Doe and he seems anxious, he seems nervous, whereas in previous meetings he has not seemed that way. Now, you may be tempted to say, "Oh, John Doe, what has happened to make you so nervous?" But we say you don't have to do that. You can if you want. But what you would do is realize that this is now a changed relationship, and how you react to it may change to create yet another new relationship. You may say to this person, "I will be very calm today," because you see that this person is nervous. And so the relationship now becomes changed because you become the caretaker, the supporter. You give this person something that they need, you see? And so the relationship is now something new. Do you understand? Q3, I do, but I wonder about the energies that join with us that are not in the human presence with us. Eve, and what do you wonder about them? Q3, so do they change all the time? Eve, yes. Q3, are they different energies? So will we ever know, like the identity of the entities? Eve, we would answer this yes and no. Because you see, identity is not to someone out of form or what you call out of form, to an energetic personality. Identity is not particularly important. And this is why we did not give this one a name for us. You see, because it is irrelevant, it does not matter. What matters is the feeling. Now, if you recognize the feel of that energy, then you will understand who or what you are connecting with each time. And it may be that the energies are very, very similar. Again, we speak about tweaks and small amounts of changes, although over time they may become quite large changes. But if your concern, for example, is that a relative that you are feeling their energy comes into your field on a daily basis. Uh, or if you are concerned that, oh, the next time it may not be them, we say, no, it is still them. But just like you, they will have gone through some changes. This is the law of the universe. Nothing is stagnant, and nothing is only one thing. And we stress this. This is extremely important to understand. There is never only one reason, one person, one thing. There is always a constant state of flux, a constant state of change. And this is what makes all that is immortal, so to speak, because it is ever changing. And because all that is ever changing, you are ever changing. And all the energies contained within all that is ever changing. Does that help you? Q3, yes, thank you. Eve, good. Q2, Eve, can I say a few things? C, yeah, go ahead. Q2. So I'm not sure that these are necessarily questions, but I want to tell you that I love Q3's questions because they were going out. But if you pull it all in and you look at it the opposite way, which I totally understand why Q3 asked those things because I would too, convergence is like a delicious word. It's like what you are telling us or teaching us or sharing with us is that expect that everything and everybody has got movement and changes in whatever direction the changes are. So don't expect same, 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 same. Eve, exactly. That is exactly. Q2, right. Michael, Susan. It's beautiful. It's Susan today, but it's Susan with more things in this moment, and then more things in the next moment, whether she's adding things or dropping things. So I absolutely love this word convergence. The other thing I wanted to thank you for is about how, and whoever brought that up, I think it was Q3 as well, that when we, like if I go to see mediums and they are reading for me, my family, and they brought in my mom many times, but I'm going to tell you something. She's a little different every time they bring her in, which, Eve, exactly. Q2. At first, it made me a little suspect, like, what's going on here? But that, and then I thought, well, each medium is a different person. So they're going to shift that reading a little just by who they are. But then if you add in what you are saying, which is, well, she is growing all the time over there, so expect her not to be exactly the same as she was when I knew her because she has added and minused all kinds of stuff, right? Eve, yes, as have you. Q2, oh, beautiful. Yvonne, thank you. Eve, thank you. Both of you, thank you. Eve, you are so welcome. C, who is the moderator, remember. The question now, I think, because we all want nomenclature as to who we are interacting with, basically because people want to know who it is, put it in a box and say, I know what it is, or I don't want to attract something that is negative. So I think that is why people want to name everything that we are interacting with, whereas we are all positive in nature in this group. So that is all we will interact with as we do with you, Yvonne/Eve. Eve, yes, and we would speak just a small amount because this one will begin to tire soon about negative energies. Now, you will hear from some people who are heavy into certain belief systems about, oh, I don't want to attract demons. I don't want to be taken over by something hideous or whatever. And we say to you, these things do not exist except as you define them. Yes? So, this one, back many years ago, created a game. And in this game, there is a dice that you throw, and it comes up positive or negative. And your response in this game is supposed to be as if your beliefs are positive or negative around the subject. Now, there were those who would not play with the negative aspect. If they threw the dice and it came up negative, they would, no, we will not play this. We will only allow the positive into our lives. Now, this is a lovely thought, but it is unrealistic because as humans, you will have certain things you appreciate more than others. You will have buttons that can be pushed, and you can say, oh, that's negative. So, we would say to you that in this group, it is very admirable that you wish to have only positive energies. And we will say to you that the vast majority of the energies you bring into this group will be positive. But if something strikes you odd, if you say, ooh, I'm not sure I like that, and you feel a little bit of negativity, do not be concerned. Let it pass through you. You can change it. You can deal with it later. You are still all humans in the physical bodies, and you will still all have an array of emotions and feelings and responses. Yes? C, understood. Eve, good. Is there more or are we complete? Q2. I think I need to jump I think I need to jump in